Hello everyone. Sorry for the lack of videos for the past month. I was very busy and things have been crazy and hectic. I was helping my sister and brother-in-law help renovate my parents' new house. That I'm also going back to school this upcoming fall. So in the meantime, here's my movie review of The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. The Day the Earth Stood Still is a 1950s sci-fi film made by 20th Century Fox. The film was directed by Robert Wise, who directed films like West Side Story and The Haunting. Before he was a very well-known established director, he edited films for Val Lewton and horror films, and he also edited the film Citizen Kane with Orson Welles. The film was produced by Julian Blaustein, and the screenplay was done by Edmund H. North, who did the screenplay for Patton with George C. Scott. The film was based on a short story called Farewell to the Master by Harry Bates. The film was released on September 28, 1951. The film was very well successful at the time of its release, well received and highly praised by critics and audiences at the time of its release. And it's been considered one of the best sci-fi films ever made of all time. The film grossed $1.85 million at the box office in 1951. The movie stars Michael Rennie, Patricia Neal, Hugh Marlowe, Sam Jeffy, Billy Gray, Francis Xavier, and Locke Martin. The Day the Earth Stood Still is about a UFO that lands in Washington, D.C., where it's not necessarily where the aliens are planning an attack against Earth and the humans. It's more about the aliens trying to send a message about world peace. But unfortunately, this still puts fear into Washington, D.C., the government, the army, and the human beings of the Earth. The character Klaatu is an alien, blends in as a human, where he befriends a mother and her son. Klaatu's soft-spoken robot Gore represented a more immediate threat to the human beings than he does. I'll never forget the first time I saw The Day the Earth Stood Still was in 2016 when I turned 23 at the time. I went to the movies that day with my mother, and we went to the grocery store to pick up groceries to celebrate my birthday. As I was looking around, I saw some magazines. They had a magazine through Time about sci-fi films. And I was looking through it. They had a movie poster The Day the Earth Stood Still. My mom bought me this magazine. And my first thought was, well, it must be a 50s sci-fi alien invasion film. Because when I saw that movie poster, I thought, I'm in the mood for a 50s sci-fi alien invasion movie that night. So me and my dad and my friend watched it. As I was watching, I said to myself, this film was like not what I expected. But then once I saw Klaatu's speech at the end about world peace, then it hit me, I'm like, okay. So the movie's about world peace, not about the aliens attacking the human beings. Despite the movie poster being misleading, once you get past that and watch Klaatu's speech and find out what the film is representing, you kind of like put that to the side and realize, okay, and you appreciate the film for what it is about world peace and what the aliens are doing. For its time back in the 1950s, the film really does represent itself what was going on at the time, from post World War II and the early stages of the Cold War, the fear of nuclear war that people had during this time period. When you think about it, when the aliens land down on Earth and people are afraid, the film is like showing a metaphor of nuclear war. It makes the film look very authentic for its time period when it came out back in 1951. The opening music by Bernard Herrmann is one of my favorite alien scores in a sci-fi film. It's so creepy and cool and incredible at the same time. The flying saucers are very superb for its time period. I'll admit, the special effects are a little bit outdated at the time, but I think they're still very well done and very cool for the time period back in the 50s. The film has Christ symbolism, like for example, the character Klaatu is a symbol of Jesus Christ, and Gore in some ways pointed out as a god. The character Klaatu is a very nice, intelligent, smart guy and a gentleman. I love the melodrama relationship that he has with the kid Bobby. He's like a father figure to Bobby. because Bobby lost his father during World War II. It's hard for a kid growing up without a father in his life. Klaatu wants peace and no war. When he shows the scientists his mathematics and theories on what will happen when humankind will destroy themselves and not have peace, it will be very chaotic and very bad and tragic. Before Michael Rennie was picked for the choice of Klaatu, they originally wanted Claude Rains or Spencer Tracy for the part of Klaatu, but Robert Wise decided to cast an unknown for the part of Klaatu. I think it worked out pretty well and fine, in my opinion. The film has themes of Christ symbolism, like the character of Klaatu. He's based on an example of Jesus Christ. Like, he goes by the name Carpenter because Jesus was a carpenter, and when he is shot and killed, Gort resurrects him in the spaceship, similar how like when Christ was resurrected on the third day he rose again. The look of Gort is pretty cool looking. Even if you never saw this film, when you see that look, you know like where this character's from and which movie, for how he's become iconic in sci-fi films. He's like a symbol of God in some ways when you think about it, and he also looks like the Tin Man was an alien. When he carries Patricia Neal's character, it's like similar to Beauty and the Beast or like classic Universal monsters when the monster carries his mate. The famous line Klaatu Barada Nickto, where you all remember from Army of Darkness, when Ash said those words. This is where Sam Raimi got the inspiration for those lines. Patricia Neal had no idea like what those words meant. She said she could not stop laughing, did not know what to make of it. A crazy fact about the guy who played Gort, his name was Locke Martin, who was not really an actor. He was a tall 7'7" guy who was a doorman at the grown man's Chinese theater. The part when the whole world like, loses power and time stops, this kind of reminds me similar like War of the Worlds in some ways. And War of the Worlds came out 2 years later after this movie. In the opening scene, Robert Wise does a great job of really grabbing the audience attention, combining the music when the alien UFO lands on a baseball diamond field. Klaatu's speech at the end of this film is probably one of the greatest speeches in the history of cinema and sci-fi films ever, period. How he gives his view on world peace and what will happen if humankind will not learn to put their differences aside and put peace together. Even though I usually like to give out facts in between my film reviews, but I think in the near future I decided I might just like give out the facts in between the review videos while I'm doing the movie review at the same time. So that was my review of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Hope you liked and enjoyed it. Please like the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button to get my latest updates on my YouTube channel. And once again, I apologize in advance for the lack of videos the past month. Probably not one of my best videos, but hope you still liked and enjoyed it anyway. See you next time.